Hi everyone, welcome back to Mr. Mescher's Lessons, and in this video I'm going to be reviewing the last book I will review of the year. 2019 has been a pretty exciting year for me. 2020 should be especially exciting. I will be getting married, and I will be graduating from college, and hopefully I will be transitioning into a teaching career. Still in the prospects of getting a job somewhere, but I'm really excited about the future and I am ready to get into it. I started this YouTube channel in the spring of 2019, and from then I have uploaded, I think, around 10 videos. It may be a little more, but this is the last video. I don't think I'll be able to get another video out, but I guess I'll have to see. I'm working on a special project for the YouTube channel right now, and I'm really excited to reveal that once I get it done, but it probably won't be done until January. But regardless, I thank you for coming back, and I hope that your holiday goes well. In today's video, I'll be reviewing what may be my favorite book of the year, and that is the sequel. This book is actually a little hard to describe. So it is not directly a sequel of The Hate U Give, nor is it necessarily even a loose sequel of it, but it exists in the same universe and it happens after the events of The Hate U Give. This is Angie Thomas's On the Come Up. This was published not too long ago. It's a fresh book, and I was excited to, number one, get my hands on it. I borrowed it from the library. And number two, to get to read it. I was super looking forward to it. I enjoy Angie Thomas's first book, and I was really looking forward to reading this next one. I was impressed. I was really impressed with this book, and I think it is definitely worth a read, and I hope that I can convince you to pick it up as well. So the book centers around Bree. Her name is Brianna, but she goes by Bree. She's a 16-year-old in the Garden Heights area, which is where Star from The Hate U Give lived as well. But she is a 16-year-old girl in the neighborhood, and she wants to become a rapper. Not initially. She has been making songs on her own and sharing them maybe with her aunt and a few of her friends. She wants to become a rapper, and this kind of follows the suit of her father, whose name was Lawless. He was also a rapper, but he was an underground icon. He was huge as an underground artist, but he didn't reach his stardom quite yet. He was gunned down by one of the rival gangs, and he was involved in a lot of the gang violence, and unfortunately it took his life. So the book centers around Bree and her attempt to become a rapper, and her aunt gets her set up with a rap battle in the arena. And it is a boxing ring turned rap battle area, and it ends up being quite exciting to read about all of the details that they give about the arena and how much of a cultural impact it has. And a lot of the battles there actually end up being viewed by a lot of people. It's become an area where people want to go to see new aspiring rappers. For Bree to get a shot here is actually huge. Well, Bree goes in and she does a freestyle battle versus another rapper who's actually the son of her father's previous manager. The battle goes pretty well, and Bree wins. She's deemed the winner of the battle. After this buzz, she goes through a few issues at the school she goes to, which she's attending because of a grant that the school received. She's taken out of Garden Heights and bused to a new school. Her aunt sets her up to record a song, and she takes all of the pent-up emotion she's having and puts it into the song that she records. She wants to give the impression that she is not someone to mess with. She is ready to kick some booty if she needs to, which is not actually true, and she doesn't tell her mother about this, and her aunt doesn't approve of the song, and neither do many of her friends, but she puts it out. Lo and behold, her song becomes super popular, and she has a bit of a fame spur, and she goes through the trials and tribulations of becoming someone slightly famous. But what's sad is that her mom has recently lost her job, and she is trying with all her might to get some kind of stability for her family so that they don't have to worry about money anymore. While Bree's aunt was meant to be the manager for her, she ends up getting with Supreme, who was Lawless's manager. They broke up before Lawless was killed. Thinks that he can get Bree a record deal, so they hook up and they try to get as much buzz going for Bree as they can. And he just goes a bit too far, and they have creative differences. That becomes the main issue in the book. I think Supreme is looked at as a increasingly negative person, and she spends a lot of the time trying to deflect, I guess, almost the blessings he's trying to pull in. She doesn't want them because Supreme is painting her as someone she's not, as a thug, as a gang member, as someone she doesn't want to be. And she sees that impact she has on the environment. And we see her go through several of the tribulations that female rappers have to go through and the younger generation has to go through. It ends up being really interesting. I enjoyed the plot of her becoming her own self. It was in a generation that it feels like so many people are copy and pasted. It felt really good to see. I think one of my favorite parts of the book was the amazing bits and pieces of hip-hop knowledge and history and facts that it had. One of the things in the book it mentions is Notorious B.I.G. being able to rhyme, I quote, Jesus with peanuts. And I listened to the song, and surprisingly, he somehow manages to do it, and it flows in the song. And she says in the book, it is actually quite a comical book. She says that disrespectful if you're Jesus, but pretty cool otherwise. There's a few love stories intertwined in it. She has an older brother named Trey, and there's a love story intertwined there, and they have a friend triangle. They call them the Unholy Trio. That's based on, I suppose, Harry Potter. And the three friends all have their own love stories, and perhaps it gets sprinkled in a little bit. Another thing I really enjoyed about the book was that it did not avoid blaming the violent nature of the rap, but it didn't give an excuse for the people who opposed rap music for its violent nature. So it was kind of a middle ground. I was surprised to see this because it seemed that The Hate U Give was strongly on the side of the African-American protesters, because rightfully so, the black boy who was shot while Star was in the car and she attempted to record it was unarmed. So while that book seemed directly on the side of the protesters, On the Come Up seems to be a mid-ground. It seems to grant permission to be frustrated with the violence in rap music while also be frustrated with the people who oppose it so vehemently. And one of the mentions is that some of the people oppose it when they actually have some of the same ideology. So perhaps it's not the violent nature that they're necessarily opposing. Another thing it had was targeting sexism in rap, which I appreciated. It talks about how Bree is looked at as, if she's frustrated in her song, she's PMSing, or she's on her period, or whatever else men use as excuses against her in rap songs or against her in interviews, etc., to try to rationalize why she is acting exactly how most of the rappers already act. Trey is Bree's older brother, and she helps take care of her a lot. He really looks out for her, and his portrayal was absolutely astounding. I really love he went to college for a psychology degree, and now he's working at a pizza shop to help his family back at home. And I think his portrayal as just a guiding light was phenomenal. I really enjoyed his presence in the book. The book has a lot of backstories, and it has several parts where it seems like it's not super relevant to the plot of the story, but it still feels important. All of the details included in the book feel important to the book because it gives more depth to it. And while it seems kind of hard to make a book about a 16-year-old attempting to become a rapper, the book is full. It is vibrant with life and information and bits of, I feel, important and enjoyable knowledge. In a bit of an ironic twist, Angie Thomas ends up riding the wave of her first single, you could say. The Hate U Give, while certainly was wonderful and deserving of all the praise that it has received, I read On the Come Up because I knew it was written by Angie Thomas. So her big breakout hit got me to read her next book, and it was quite funny to see that it was almost like a rap song. You put out a very popular rap song, and then people start to check out your other work. While I don't think it carried the weight of The Hate U Give, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. It still has the social issues inside the book, while not being as blaringly obvious and in your face or a constant reminder. And I really appreciated that. This was a book that I think was enjoyable to read. The story was great. I'm looking forward, this is being made into a movie, so I'm hoping that my students, at least at some point, get to watch the movie. I'm going to recommend that you check out this book. It's definitely worth the read. It's not too difficult to read. There's not a lot of difficult substance to it, so it would be an enjoyable thing to pick up maybe over winter break, maybe whenever you feel like it.